Those webs that you're spinning have got you caught up in them. Oh, now all the windows.
Selection of poetry book get released in December of '09. He was one of our first original readers, and he also has another book upcoming this year. And he was also nominated for the 2009 Pushcart Prize in Poetry. Coming here from Bolton, North Carolina, here he is, Jason Mott.
I got my cell phone just for like a stopwatch because I suck at keeping time. I'm gonna start that. Thanks again to John, Mark, and Tim for coming up here, but I kind of wanted the mic because I do have like the sexy quiet storm voice I like to do when I'm reading, and that's kind of out right now, but so I got to try and make do with it. We'll see how it goes. If I go home alone tonight, I know who to blame. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about that. I wrote a collection. It's called "We Call This Thing Between Us Love," and I actually didn't want to do it, because everyone writes poems about love and they always suck. So I decided, whatever, and I wrote it and I sent it out and it got picked up. So I'm just excited. So I'm gonna read from that collection tonight. At times, some of the poems are really short, some of them are longer, and we'll try to kind of go through this whole little wacky thing here. This first one is just called "Sometimes," and appropriately it will be raining, but it's not raining, so let's see what we can do with it. Sometimes, the sound of rain has become that assonant murmur of bustling train stations, and every someone I have ever failed at loving stands beneath those vaulted train station ceilings inside my head, looking both ways down the rails, certain that the low, heavy tremoring of the air is the sound of my inevitable return. This is called Drunken Love Poem. Yeah, this is fun. This is the poem that eyes you from across the bar just as the last call shout goes up and there's that impossible want for one last taste. And so you charge the walls of smoke and the barricade of bodies all wanting the same thing you want while this poem watches you, trying not to lose you in the night's last current. This poem brushes the cigarette ash off the front of his shirt, licks its thumb and tries to rub the smell of spilled rum from his sleeves. It slicks back its hair and checks its breath, and after getting a supportive nod from a friend, a much more handsome poem, the poem you really wish would come over, the poem you've been waiting for all night, that poem that never actually came. This drunken poem eases over the dance floor, lurching as it walks, off balance and bleary-eyed, covered in self-doubt in a dusty suit of failed loves. And when this poem finally reaches you, sweaty, mouth slack, eyes red, sliding around in his skull like molten coinage, this poem says, hesitantly, like a child, I know that we are a never-can-be equation, and I saw you watching that other poem all night, and that's okay. But still, I'm the one that's here. I'm the one that's willing to be buried beneath every hurt of soul you cannot leave at this bar when the lights come up and the music stops, and whoever he was is still just a body shape hidden in the silhouette of every other body, and I don't know. I guess I was just hoping that maybe I could be enough for somebody. This poem here is a fun one. It's called Blues Man. I kind of do this. I use this called as my R&B baby love poem. Cause in the R&B concerts they pick up that one lady and they sing to her the whole time. This is kind of what that one poem is. I'm gonna use Emily as my victim here. So if she jump on me, y'all know what's going on. This is called Blues Man for Emily Salzgiver. Dark-bodied girl in the front row, both eyes closed, buried in the rhythm of the way this darkness falls over your body like wind. That body that reaches out for me in all this wordless sex speak I pour through the open leaves of your ears. Sweet girl, didn't your mama ever tell you, men don't need no words to break your heart? Thank you. Get my number later, don't worry about that.
Speak louder.
Speak louder? I'm sorry, I will speak louder. This is called, I need a quiet storm voice, so I need a mic, but This is called Our First Date. Her body descends to the bed as if the room is filling with water, as if hers is the body of Christ, slave to the gravity of her cross, watching her church take on water, pillars and doorways swallowed, pews and prayers floating up, her feet slipping under that hard, ethereal current of sacrifice, legs and thighs overcome, her stomach wet, breast floating briefly, then going under. Everything of her tightens, her throat closes. If I were not me, I would tell her that fear of drowning is your salvation. Listen and leave. But I am myself, so I say nothing. I take her hand, pull her under me. This one is called, this one's actually become like the runaway hit of the collection, which I didn't expect at all. It's titled Masturbation. Yeah, I know, not awkward at all, right? Masturbation, the perfect victimless crime. Even Oprah's doctor said you can add 6 years to your life if courted often enough. And let's face it, masturbation always knows what you want, has that back-bending knack for offering the rough stuff on the only night of the year when the rough stuff is exactly what you wanted. Masturbation knows you better than you know yourself. And masturbation doesn't judge you, doesn't mind when you slink off to that new relationship, telling yourself that you're done with it. Masturbation doesn't even hold your infidelities against you when you come back, embarrassed, frustrated, slightly ashamed, loathing those familiar flaws that chipped away at this latest, this might be the one relationship. Masturbation only welcomes you back, reminds you of all the things you've forgotten you liked, reminds you of all the perfect parts of yourself. This next poem is more of the, because, love isn't always beautiful, and that's kind of what this poem here is about. It's titled Psalm, Body Worship. Gently, he kisses the sloping half-moons of her thighs, the long, even grade of her hips, the soft, dark bird of her pelvis, the open, glassy sea of her stomach, the pale, upturned questions of her breasts, the timid, breakable mountains of her shoulders, the outstretched, weightless arms, the sweaty, slack hands holding not even herself, the rising sleeve of clouds that is her neck, the soft, sharp chin, the parted, familiar lips, the cold, easing brow, the halo of tousled hair, all the places his knuckles landed. One of my professors at UNCW when I was there, he said, you never leave your audience, depressed, so you never end on that kind of poem. So I got, 3 poems here that are, supposed to bring everybody back up after, that kind of stuff. This first one is, my first attempt at, an actual, because you can write about love, but not really write about love, kind of skirt around it. So I wanted to write one that was kind of a genuine love poem. The title of this is, What is the Body? What is the body but a poem we recite to one another's hands, a promise of movement and alliteration of our two souls? And what is the soul but the little by little, the secret lines we write upon one another, smile after smile? What else but the weightless way the wording of your body leads me down this page of us to that exquisite couplet of our lips, kissing goodbye tonight, like snow falling on the face of the moon. This is titled, Letter to My First. Tonight it has been 10 years since we last saw each other, even longer since that night, sprawled across the passenger seat in 1,000 awkward variations of instability and inability. That night, though we did not know it then, had a secret thread inside it, a thread that hides in the seams of time and pulls you to my mind with each new first kiss. You come like a complete body smoking, through either chemical or magical transformation, through the emptiness of forgetting, to the eternity of a photograph. Or you come to my mind like two children stepping out of a parent's borrowed car, stepping out into the flooded field of life on shaky, irrevocable new legs of adulthood. It's my final poem. It's titled Prayer. I kind of wrote this because I realized I'd written a whole collection of poems about love, and everybody and their mama did that. So I wanted to write a poem that kind of recognized that. Prayer. There is nothing new in any word I write, just as there is nothing new in any hard old mountain, just as there is nothing new in the vacuum between worlds or people. But to say nothing is a death of sorts, in the same way that each body is a prayer of sorts. A quiet mouth, a still hand, these are the soul's slow conversion to the lonely atheism of the heart. Dear God, whichever child you are, let my hand play on every white field of empty page. Remind me how each body prays. Remind me that prayers are bodies of words, paired. Thank you.
Jason Mott.